Alright, here we are. I wanted to go over the Dares of Eternity loot bowl. Tell you what is worth, what is not worth. I'd say curt, but that doesn't really fit weapons. Rudely brief is probably all I'd have to say for some. So the week 1 rotation weapons are factions, and on the spreadsheet it will start with Enigma's Draw. I could tell you right away, I don't think you should aim for this specifically. It's a precision frame, so it fires at 260 with decent perks, I'd guess. There's your range roll, I guess. I don't know. I don't like this archetype. I don't know if there's anything to offer here. You've got this combo, that's decent combo, it works together. You've got that, you've got full auto trigger system for those who don't like tap firing sidearms. But I don't think it offers anything over any other sidearms. Now, next on the spreadsheet is the Dire Promise. This is definitely a good one. You can get stuff like this if you're... I wouldn't go max range on anything. I'd go something like that. If you don't have a good Fatebringer, this is your next... Well, or a good Ayaz Luna. This is your best bet. It gets good perks. This actually was the meta for a bit. That was back when it was a lightweight, though. It's still amazing. It's just outclassed by what we have now. And then now, next on the list, we have the True Prophecy. This thing, if you like 120s, this thing is gonna rustle your jimmies pretty well, right? It gets good range. It gives 2 forms of double range perks here. This decreases your TTK though by a little bit, but it gets 2 pairs of range perks, right? Because you could go there, you could go there, you could go there, you could go there, right? This is an amazing gun. You could probably go for it if you don't have a good one already. So, next is the Timeline's Vertex. This can be good. I'm actually searching for one, to be honest. I forget which one it was. I think you want a decent sight or something. I'm not sure. It's not, I don't think it'll be main ingredient, but what will, right? It's decent if you don't have the, what's that? If you don't have the main ingredient, right? This is a good one to pick up. It's not the best, but it's definitely not the worst. Next is Honor's Edge. Oops. Don't. It is an adaptive frame. Does have Surrounded Relentless. Actually, that's not a bad roll. Surrounded's pretty good. On swords, it's slightly nerfed, as can be seen here. It's 25 to 35. But that's a pretty good roll. You can also get that on Bequest, which I think looks a bit cooler. But that's me accidentally hitting my keys a little bit, by the way. If you can't get Bequest or Hero of Aegis and you need an arc sword for like Lost Sectors or something, you have this. This is probably the only good perk here. Though you've also got this stuff. This is basically Harmony. Next on the list is the Interference 6. And I think this is one of the best ones. One of the best grenade launchers currently. However, grenade launchers as of right now aren't really, you know, too hot. They aren't too hot right now. Of course, it's a granted, but they really aren't too hot right now. But in the future, if we get something like we did in Splicer, Or they just get a buff. I'd probably get one of these just in case, if you have the vault space. The distant tumulus. I would keep an eye out for this, because this does get firing line and clown cartridge, right? Those are amazing together. You could put on tech mag, right? This has the chance of being really good if snipers get a buff. Right now, I think you'd probably use another sniper, right? But this is a pretty good one, actually. Firing line makes it really good. And it's easy to activate in a fire team setting, which is where I think damage would matter more, besides sectors, of course. Alright, next, Arsenic Bite. I didn't know this was a faction weapon. What faction is it? Dead Orbit? I don't know. I'll have to look that up. But this does get double damage perks as well. I don't remember. I think these like conflict with each other. You've also got Archer's Tempo there though. These don't roll in the same column if you're a fan of Archers. It's a bit inferior to Wolf Tone, all things being said. It does have Explosive Head, Wolf Tone doesn't, but Wolf Tone's a better frame with access to, in my opinion, some better perks. This shouldn't be slept on though. It's certainly good. If you don't have a good Wolf Tone, I'd get that. The GN7. Now, this suffers because it is an adaptive frame, and so it's going to suffer a lot in PvP and PvE, but it's one of the few arc ones in the game. It's the slowest firing arc one we have right now. I don't believe we have an arc high impact. I'm not sure. I would keep it, like if you got a good roll, for just in case we get anti-barrier pulse and you need an arc thing. You do have Darkest before, right? But this could be your best bet one day. And the Escape Velocity. I like this thing, but you should go for... Well, for multi-mock, it's better. Multi-mock beats it in PvP, hands down. But in PvE, you get some good perks here. You know, these two mainly, but you get some good perks on this. This is good in PvE. I've used it. I can't say it's the best, but it's not the worst. If you're looking for a 900 kinetic for PvE and you don't want to do Iron Banner, who does? You've got this. Now we're on to the second week, which is general pull, right? The first one is the first in, last out. This is a must get. Or it was. I think it's still pretty good. It's outclassed by fusions right now, but I'd still get one of these. It gets good PvP rolls too, right? That's a good thing. Not much to say. This is a good slug. I'd get it, just in case. Fusions aren't cut out next season, which is a good possibility, but still. Next is the Lonesome. I'm going to rag on this thing. It's a precision frame. However, it does have kill clip, which can be good. I believe you can build into a 2-tap with this, so if you're into that, I'd say go for it. Me personally, I'm gonna steer away. Ooh, this one, the Gnawing Hunger, Shayura's big brother. This thing, it's a shame you can't get drop mag, but this thing is good. So you've got Subsistence Rampage for PvE, you've got Tap the Trigger Rampage or Kill Clip or Multi-Kill Clip, or any of these perks for PvP. You really can't go wrong with this fourth column. I mean, this is probably the worst perk here, and then I'm not a fan of this. Third, fourth, fifth for PvE, and then fourth, fifth for PvP. Well, not fourth, fifth. It'd be, you know, this would be low. But this is an amazing auto rifle. Probably one of the best ones we have right now. So yeah, go for it. Ooh, this one. the Night Watch, get this. Now, if you're not a fan of Rapid Hit, if you're more of a fan of Overflow, just go do the new light quest and get it. But this is probably the best PvE scout rifle in the game. Just because of this roll. I have a roll close to this. I think it has drop mag or something. I'd have to look, but this is probably the best scout in the game for PvE content as it stands currently. It's just that good. Get it if you don't have a good one. The main ingredient, well, do I really have to say anything? I don't know my fusions well, but still, do I have to say anything here? This thing has been a menace in PvP for since Xur sold it. You can get it in PvE, you can get it in dares right now too, which is amazing. It's a good fusion. So if you don't have the Xur one, I'd say go farming for either the Xur one or a personal roll. Maybe something like this. Maybe, I think Firmly Planted is just the best for fusions, personally. And then you can pair it with like rangefinder, tap the trigger, high impact, and whatever. Accelerator, liquid. The Ikelos SMG. Now me, personally, I love this thing. In PvE, this is probably the king of SMGs. You've got some good PvE rolls here, especially Surrounded. That's a really good perk. A really good damage buff. And you've got the PvP rolls as well, right? You really cannot go wrong with this thing. Get it if you don't have a good one. Get it. The Long Shadow. I'm a bit iffy on this one. It's got this roll, right? I don't know if you want to focus on it though. It can be good in PvP. It does have this, right? It has a decent PvP rolls. It's like 50 zoom though, with the lowest scope. But I'm not sure. Just in case though, this becomes good, I'd grab one. Currently you have Succession and Praetus though, and even the Last Wish one. I forgot what it was called. Crap, now I'm trying to remember it. Oh, whatever. Now you have the Steel Syllable. You can avoid this one. There's way better options. The Toil and Trouble though. This can be good. I don't have much else to say. I forget if Full Choke does things, but I don't have much else to say here. It can be good. You've got way better options though, potentially. Like Fractithist, Reeswalker, even Astral if Xur sells one. But if you don't have a good kinetic shotgun, you have that, I guess. Last Perdition, I'd say falls into a pit like Xian, but it does have access to better lethality perks. This can be good in PvP, right? It's not the best. Plus, I think these scopes are a little weak. They do get stat bonuses, but I'm just not a fan of them at all. They're usually bulky. You know? Right, what is next? The Wish Bringer. Oh, this thing. Yeah, I'd avoid this. For PvP, I think it used to be good. I don't remember though. But it's a rapid fire frame. Those suffer a lot. And as you can see, there's only one damage perk on this for PvE. And there's a better shotgun from dares that we're gonna get to in a bit. So I'd avoid this one. Behringer's Memory. Again, maybe. This doesn't have good perks though. Like it maybe in PvP. Not sure what you'd use in PvP. I'm gonna be honest. I don't really know, but not good, not bad. Well, it's more bad than good. But maybe you can find a use for it yourself. There's way better options though. The Last Dance. This sidearm. Oh, it's a white as well? Awesome. This is a really good sidearm. It's amazingly good. Especially with sidearms being fixed now, you should probably get this and try it out. I personally don't like it because I think the model is a bit weird with the scope. But if you like it, you're gonna dominate with it in your ranges. So I'd say get it if you want. It's good for PvE as well. I was talking more PvP there. I think it's good for PvE. It doesn't have rampage or stuff, which is sad. Oh wait, no. I mixed stuff up. You're getting the Eiclo sniper rifle. This is the same case as Tumulus. I'd save it in case we get a buff to any snipers. This could become really good, but I think Tumulus is a bit better. This has a cooler frame though. If that tickles your fancy. That's it for week 2. Let's go on to week 3, which would be, it says on the spreadsheet, Sphere of Dash Arrivals, starting with Nature of the Beast. If you're a fan of 180s, you might like this. I did, but I'd say avoid it unless these get a buff. If you want to save one in your vault for if they get a buff, go ahead. But if you don't like 180s, then avoid it. The Falling Guillotine. This thing used to be a monster. It does get surrounded, which I'd say is a way better perk on swords now. Just because. Right? It's around 35%, which I believe it beats Whirlwind. Oh, that's 35% with spec. You gotta keep that in mind. And you've gotta have enemies around, but this thing used to be the king for a long while until they nerfed Whirlwind. Right? And they nerfed the Vortex frame a little bit. So it's no longer the king. I think it's other half now, but if you don't have a good other half, which chances are you probably don't, because it's super rare, I would go for this. The False Promises. This is another one of those weapons that I'd get just in case they buff them. Because this frame is in desperate need of a buff, I'd say. Which is a shame, but yeah. I just say, just in case it gets a buff, I'd keep one. Temptation's Hook. If you're not a Trials fan, I think this is actually better than a Trials one for other reasons. You got surrounded, Vorpal, Whirlwind, On Guard even. Right? Not as good as for ad clear as Fudge. Not as good for... I forgot the Trials name. I'm forgetting everything. Supremacy is the Last Wish Sniper. I forgot the Trial Sword. I don't really care about it, but yeah. The Cold Denial. This is one of those cases where there's simply just something better now. This thing can be really good. But you've got the Messenger now. Right? It's close to being good. It's just beaten by Messenger, like how the fusions on this list are beaten by main ingredient or other fusions right now. But it's still good. If you don't have a good Messenger, I'd go for this. Now the Whispering Slab. This is a kinetic bow. If you can't do raids, this is your best bet. It doesn't have access to Explosive Head. It does get Vorpal and Swash, though. I think Swash is good in PvP on this thing. But I'd say you're better off going for a for a Biting Winds or a unaccrued redemption. because this is a lightweight frame, which is just, I think that's the worst bow frame out of the two. But if you don't have a good either one of those, I'd say go for it. The Hollow Words, an arc precision frame fusion, and it doesn't have firmly, so I'd say, I'd say avoid it. Maybe for PvE though, but like still, I'd avoid it because you've got main ingredient. The 7th Seraph Carbine. I'd say go for it, just in case they buff it, like every other thing here, right? So, just in case they buff 450 frames, this could be good for anti-barrier. 7th Seraph Revolver. Now, I believe this thing was insanely good for PvE for Overload Hand Cannon. I think now, though, we have the Vulpicula. Though, if you don't want to use Stasis or something, you could use this. Now, granted, this has timed payload, but the Vulpicula has explosive payload, which I think is slightly better. I'm not sure. I think that's enough said. This thing, though, probably the best shotgun, or one of, right? Get stuff like this. It's probably one of the best shotties in the game right now. This thing used to be really rare to get, but now you can farm for it next week, actually. But this thing is really good. It's a lightweight shotgun, so it gets the lightweight bonus, and I believe it's somewhat consistent, right? So, yeah. The 7th Seraph, I'll just put 7th Seraph in. Wait. Oh. I was going off the spreadsheet. The SI2 is the sidearm. I don't know. If you like this type of sidearm, you could probably go for this. It seems like it has some decent rolls. Right? I don't know why I went for chambered there. But otherwise, I don't know. I think this is a good sidearm though, if I recall correctly. I don't really have much to say about it. No, the 7th Seraph VY7. Decent, I'd guess. I'm not completely sure. It's outclassed by Eiklos in literally every way possible. So I'd say avoid it and farm for Eiklos. The 7th Seraph Saw. I believe this thing was really good once. But its frame suffers a bit, and Warmind Cells got nerfed a bit. I didn't even talk about Warmind Cells, but I think this thing was good because of the Warmind Cell stuff. But now it's just in the worst machine gun frame, so it suffers from that. This last one here, last one of the video, the Truth Teller. This thing's insane. Both PvP and PvE, right? This thing's really good. If you can't get a good empty vessel, this is your best bet. Or if you just have void shields over solar shields in activity, this thing's your best bet. This is your baby. Blinding nades are basically overpowered right now. That's all I can say. This thing's pretty good. Go for it. Farm for it. Right? I think that's about it, though. So, yeah. Look at that, Inception. But yeah, I think that's your best bet. So, see ya.